right. Good morning. I'm J. Lenora Bressler. Welcome to the November 30, 2017 edition of the Bible Delight in the Details, as we look at often overlooked scriptures to find the deep spiritual meaning behind them. Today we are continuing in our multi-session series on overlooked details of Leviticus, and we are now in the very last chapter, chapter 26. This is the ending of a rather lengthy discord that Moses had with the people with regard to how they should live, being set apart, being different, deliberately looking and acting and behaving differently than their pagan neighbors, therefore to call attention to that difference and to evoke questions in their neighbors that would then allow them to talk about God. After all of this, kind of the grand summary, Moses does something, God does it through Moses, that is very typical of God. We see this over and over and over throughout all of Scripture, both Old and New. God places before people two choices. And one of the things that I said when I covered this last Sunday in my Sunday school class is that, one of the things I love about God is that God tells you the truth about the situation, and then he gives you a choice. And it's he makes it so that you can make an educated choice. You're not making a choice in ignorance. And I love that, frankly, about God. I love that about anybody, frankly, who calls you to make a decision. They want you fully informed before you make that decision. And in this case, God has explained to the people in great detail how they're going to live. He's explained about himself. He's explained about worship and how the worship is going to help them understand him better. And so now at the end of all this, after he's laid it all out, it literally is like, okay, now here's the contract. I've explained every bit of this to you. Are you going to sign or you're not going to sign? And so in chapter 26, we see God saying very clearly, you have a choice. You can follow me, follow my commands, and here's what's going to happen. Or you cannot, and here's what's going to happen. And, I tell you, as a leadership consultant, I'm telling leaders all the time, you need to be very clear about your expectations of people and the consequences of their behavior. What are they going to get? And then you need to follow through on it. You can't say one thing and then do something else. And God, being, of course, the greatest leader there is, he certainly understands that. And so we need to pay attention to what he says here in the end of Leviticus, on Leviticus chapter 26. So a few interesting things about it, and we're going to cover these in the next couple of days. In Chapter 26, verse 3, if you follow my decrees and are careful to obey my commands, I will send you rain in its season, and the ground will yield its crops, and the trees their fruit. Your threshing will continue until grape harvest, and the grape harvest will continue until planting, and you will eat all the food you want and live in safety in your land. I will grant peace in the land, and you will lie down, and no one will make you afraid. I will remove wild beasts from the land, and the sword will not pass through your country. You will pursue your enemies, and they will fall by the sword before you. 5 of you will chase 100, and 100 of you will chase 10,000, and your enemies will fall by the sword before you. What is all of this about? Well, God summarizes it in the next verse. I will look on you with favor, or literally, I will turn my face to you with favor and make you fruitful and increase your numbers, and I will keep my covenant with you. You will be eating last year's harvest when you have to move it out to make room for the new. I will put my dwelling place among you, and I will not abhor you. I will walk among you and be your God, and you will be my people. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt so that you would no longer be slaves to the Egyptians. I broke the bars of your yoke and enabled you to walk with heads held high. Oh my goodness, it's soaring rhetoric. And the great thing is that it's rhetoric that God can and will make come to pass. A few interesting details here. The word follow in, if you follow my decrees, is Hebrew meaning if you will take this on as a lifestyle. It doesn't mean that we will not fall and slip and sin, but it does mean that we are committed to a lifestyle of following God. Now it says, careful to obey my commands. The word here being translated in the Hebrew as commands is interesting because it is two other places that exact word is used. And one time it's in Proverbs, and it refers to the kindly wisdom and advice that a parent gives a child. And in the other case, coming out of Jeremiah, it's the same word used as an actual contract. So we see that we have the lovingness, the loving kindness, and advice of a good parent, but it is coupled with this is serious business. There are, just like with a legal contract, there are going to be consequences based on what we do here. God, what is God saying? He is saying basically in all of this beautiful agricultural language that He's going to make sure that our seasons of life are fruitful. The second part of chapter 26, as we'll see tomorrow, talks about what's going to happen if you're not faithful to God. And it's vanity. And I don't mean the vanity of being vain and thinking you're all that in a bag of chips. I mean vanity as worthless, useless. If you are with God, God can take everything you do, even your mistakes, but certainly all of your hard work, all of your effort, all of your intent, all of your sincere heart. And even if temporarily it does not appear that it is bearing fruit, He can make sure that somewhere down the road it does. I am like a lot of people. I have a tendency to look back. I have a tendency to think that I'm not in the best season of my life right now. And I think, oh, if I could only go back, I was so happy another time of my life. But we have to realize every season of life has its fruits. It has its harvest. It has its fruits. It has its pleasures. It also has its pain, but it has its pleasures. And if we are so caught up in looking back and wishing for the spring when we're in the summer or fall, then we will not enjoy the season that we're in. And God is giving us the assurance, knowing that that's how human beings are. He's saying, you don't have to worry about that when you have me. When you're following me, I will make sure that each season of your life is fruitful. And you can look back and feel like something has been accomplished, including even your work. And it's beautiful. I mean, the idea that you're enjoying an entire season. In this case, the metaphor is a crop harvest. And at that moment, as you're finishing that, you need to move on because more blessings are a-coming. Another season is a-coming. That's what life's supposed to be. And that's what it can be when you believe in the Lord and you believe His promises. So we'll talk more tomorrow, but it's beautiful soaring rhetoric. And if you need a little bit of a boost today, if you're having a hard time in your life right now, if you're looking backward at other seasons and wishing you could go back, I beg you to read and meditate on this wonderful, rousing, enthusiastic, optimistic view of life that God is saying you can have. And I pray that we all will believe it and will act accordingly. I'm J. Lenora Bressler. Visit me on the next edition of The Bible Delight in the Details. Have a great day.